Okay. Shalom, shalom, yasharallah. So we got some Pedro CD. What's going on, man? How you doing? Namaste. Namaste. Aika, yasharallah, Yahawa Amsadeu, Yahawa Yakuts. Shalom, Shemaiwan Lawaya. That should be your new name, Shemaiwan Lawaya. That's deep. Shemaiwan Ban Lawaya. To represent the two houses of Israel and Judah coming together into one. Shemaiwan, then Ban Lawaya. That's dope. Shemaiwan Lawaya or Shemaiwan Ban Lawaya. Okay, so what I want to go into, real quick, I want to talk about Minhag. Minhag. You can say Minhag or Minhag. Basically, Minhag is a Hebrew word, and Minhag deals with the couple of things. It deals with the type of prayers and liturgy, things you do during the service. It deals with the order of how you do prayers and the liturgies, prayers and formalities of a Hebrew service or holiday observance, things like that inside of a place of worship. And it also deals with the way you pray and the order in which you pray. That's the minhag. Minhag is basically a word that means it's a Hebrew word that means custom. It deals with maybe how a person would get married. It deals with how you chant or you read the Torah, and it deals with just how you keep the holidays and stuff like that. Okay, it deals with the type of garments that you wear that you call lawful. It deals with how you enter a child into expecting compliance with the Torah. Things of that nature. These are the minhag of the Israelite, the Yasha'Allah communities. Okay, so what I want to point out in this video is that you have different groups of people around the world. That wasn't the instructions. You got different groups of people around the world that claim to be Jews, claim to be Israelites, that have different practices. These practices are called minhagim or minhagim, which means customs or traditions, things of that nature. Now, when Yahushua talked about the traditions, he talked about forsaking the commandments of Yahweh to keep the traditions of men. So in the Hebrew, we would say manhag, and in the plural, we would say manhagium. Okay. Generally, we're dealing with how we do prayers and things of that nature. That's going to be the most prevalent definition you'll see about minhag. But it's also just an acceptable traditions that a group embraces when they embrace their Hebrewness, so to speak. For example, we as Israelites, we have the this right here. Okay, this is the right hand of one person, and this is the right hand of another person. We have this. That would be considered a minhag. We also have this. That would be considered to be a minhag, custom or tradition. Okay. Now, what I want to show you is that, for example, let me prefix this next statement with something. When we speak in Spanish, We say nosotros. Shalom Lakam Marakad. I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read this Bible in Spanish real quick. I want you to notice something. Okay. It says, cuando se consuma la carne de tu cuerpo, it says, consuma, enseñaban. It says, sociedad. It says, cisterna, consuma, enseñaba. Okay, it says, contigo. It says, juventud. Okay. It says, iniquidades. In Spanish, what we do is we naturally put the emphasis of the word on the next to the last syllable. Okay. In English, it's put on the third to the last syllable, like patrol, okay. Or you have something like encyclopedia. In Spanish, you would say costumbre. Okay. You would say in Spanish you would say consuma. So you put the accent and then one syllable. In English, a lot of times, if I say that's unbelievable, okay, that's incredible. If I say like, give me some words that have more than one syllable. Let me look inside the Bible. More than 3 syllables. Let's say responsible. Now you say, what does that have to do with our custom, our minhag? Well, I'm gonna show you that our minhag is more closer to a Spanish pronunciation. Those of us that come out of Bivens and the leaders that formulated ISUPK, okay, back in the late 60s, early 70s, late 60s actually, or early 70s actually, because the late 60s was Israeli School of Torah, okay, Israeli School of Torah. So the point that I'm making is that we have somewhat of a manhag or a minhag, somewhat of a minhag, but it's never been formulated. It's never been, can I get that a drink, please? Yeah. It's never been compiled, and it's never been put together. But a lot of the things that we did, when I sat in at the Sabbath services, when I sat in at classes at 1 West, at 125th Street, 1 West, and a lot of you brothers, if you think about what you did there, you'll realize that you've been following Israelite traditions, using the Bible as a foundation, that are similar to other people around the world that you would consider to be Jewish communities. But no one's never isolated or put these things together in like a Seder or Sadar type of booklet to say, okay, this is how we do things. Okay. Case in point, when we pray, every Israelite community, people that say that they're Jews and observe the Torah, every Torah observant community, whether you're talking about Ashkenazi, and this video is, the basis of this video is not to challenge or debunk the identity or the validity of any other group of Israelites. I personally believe that some of these people may be Israelites that will kind of have confusion in faces. I believe some of them are not Israelites, whatsoever. Okay. That's how I view it. But I'm not doing this video to talk about the the original Ashkenazi, which was us, nor our students, which were the European Ashkenazi. That's not the purpose of this video. I'm here to talk about the Minhag, or the Minhag, which is the spiritual customs and traditions, social practices of a particular community of Israelites. Okay? Now, Bivens, most High forgive me, so Rabbi Bivens was considered by his contemporaries to be a Israelite rabbi, which means he knew a certain format of prayers, he knew a degree of Hebrew, and he had a degree of formality in which he dealt with the services, the feast days, things of that nature. Okay, so I'm gonna give you just some examples. In all Torah observant communities around the world, they have something that we call the Kiddush. The Kiddush is a special part of bringing in the Shabbat, the Sabbath, when you bless the wine. And it's done on the Shabbat. And also you have a prayer that you would say over the lights as you light candles. And then also a part of that would be when you have the bread that you eat that's called the challah bread. Now, in the captivity of Babylon, we didn't have a temple. So a lot of the things that were done at the temple, we started to do those things in our houses, which included the challah bread to replace the loaves that we had at the temple, as well as the lighting of the menorah, which we replaced with candles once we got into the different captivities that we were in. So we have a thorough history from Shalom Lakazayatam. We have a thorough history from the Babylonian captivity of let's say of modifying, what's a different word? Not compromise, what's a different word? Not adapting, it's a C word, I think, of modifying, adapting, of making different practices that's suitable to the environment that we're in. Okay. Shalom, Shalom Robin, Shalom Regalia Dawuda, Shalom Taroni Khalil, I forget how to pronounce it sometimes, man. Forgive me. I know this, I got the big man on campus joining us today. All right. Now, Shalom Elder to you. Hallelujah. So we have these different things. So what I urge you to do, okay, now let me give an example. And I'm going to try to, somebody give me something to write with, please. I'm going to try to, try different examples for you. So you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, when we were, when you sit in at the Sabbath service at One West, there was a prayer that was said. I remember seeing the prayers back in like 94. There was like, I got one, throw out a bun. There was like different prayers that were said over the food, for drink, for, when you eat fruit. We said these different prayers. I remember I don't have the paper with me, but 1994, 95, 96, I would look at the papers and I would say the different prayers. One was for like a blessing for, you would say, Dawah Yahawakaya Zapariyam. Zapariyam. Thank you, Howard, for this fruit. Dawah Yahawakaya Zayayan. You would say, thank you for this wine. Or Barakataya Hawa Natananawa Ha Yayan. Okay? Barakataya Hawa Natananawa Ha Lakam, that gives us the bread. Okay, so when we said these different prayers, when you look at Judaism, which is a mixture between proper Israelite customs, minhag, and witchcraft. That's what Judaism basically basically is. There's a lot of witchcraft in it, and there's a lot of things that don't make sense, that don't link up with anything we have done in the Bible. For example, the Havdalah. Havdalah does not make sense. You put the spice in your left hand, put the cup in your right hand. Make sure some of the wine or grape juice is on the saucer that was holding the bowl of the wine. Then you drink some of it, leave some of it in there, pour some of it on the plate that was holding it. And before you do that, you set the spices down, smell the spices, set them down, put the cup from your right hand to your left hand, put the spices in your right hand. Then you smell the spices, you say a special prayer, and then you take the candle and then you put the candle, extinguish the candle inside of the plate that has the wine in it. That does not sound like any type of thing that was done inside the temple by the ancient Israelites whatsoever. So I don't know where it came from, but that's the Havdalah. Now there's, portions of the Havdalah that you could probably, incorporate in your house, like, closing the Shabbat with wine, or closing Shabbat, thanking the Most High for the food that He's going to provide for you, in that coming week. Okay. Now, when we go back into the kiddush, okay, the kiddush basically was done at One West. So I saw a video where brother was asked about the kiddush. Okay. Now the Kwayad Dawash is from it. The kiddush comes from Kodash. It's Kwayad Dawash. It's the sanctification of something. That's what it means. Okay. Kwayad Dawash, something with the sanctified. I remember we did the kiddush. I remember seeing, and I have a video somewhere of the kiddush being done at One West. Anybody that went to One West up to like 95, okay, up to 95. Anybody? Okay, the sister Robin said that that Havdalah is an Ashkenazi tradition, probably a European Ashkenazi, white Ashkenazi tradition. Because remember, you have black Ashkenazi too, but that was probably a white Ashkenazi tradition. You're probably right about that. I remember, like I was saying, the kiddush is it's a certain set of prayers, and it's done. You have prayers that you do, but basically, it's done over wine. Okay, it's done over wine. Done over refreshments, things of that. You can say it over kala, or say it over the bread also. The bread that you're going to be eating on the Shabbat. So you have that full cup of wine, and then you say the prayer. All right, you say the prayer. And when you talk about the Shabbat, the 6th day were completed, and then you go into, I think it's chapter 1 and the last. I know it's going into Genesis chapter 2, as far as where it comes from. Okay, but once again, I remember saying it was being said over wine. I remember being at One West, and they would have the wine and the candles in the Torah and lighting the candle. Okay, this is something that Bivens did. This is something that they learned to do from Bivens, from Masha, from the Iqab, on down to Ariel. At some point, somebody dropped the ball. At some point, somebody stopped practicing our daily and weekly minhagim, manhagyam, customs as Israelite community, and they just focused on just street teaching. That's it. Just breakdowns. That's it. The spiritual rituals of worshiping Yahweh, the spiritual rituals of sanctifying his name, the spiritual rituals of praying throughout the day were lost. Even though I remember we got, excuse me, a sister, Denise Robin, said that the Black Ashkenazi learned from the Khazars. Well, the Khazars converted around 1040 AD under King Bulan, I believe, Bulan. And then the Black Ashkenazi came in the early part of the 1000s from Babylon into the Charlemagne's empire. All right. So that they couldn't have really learned it from the Ashkenazi, because the Ashkenazi, like I said, they couldn't learn it from the Khazars because they had just converted in the 1040s. And we had already had more than 1,000-year-old, 1,500-year-old Israelite community in Babylon that was flourishing, in knowledge. And then those are the people that left from Babylon and went into Europe under the black man Charlemagne to boost the economy and to control trading, improve relations with trade routes and things of that nature. But nonetheless, Kabbalah, which is high-level witchcraft, that goes into Germany, white people in Germany in the 1716, maybe the 1500s or whatever. But actually, a black man wrote the book that is based upon the Zohar, but they added a whole bunch of extra witchcraft stuff into it that we didn't put in there. But nonetheless, I digress. So the teachers at the original school that became ISUPK was a rabbi. His name was Eber Ben Yoman, or Bivens. Bivens, they call him affectionately, Abba Bivens, or Rabbi Bivens. All right, that's what they called him. He was tutored by a man whose name was Wentworth A. Matthew, who's also a rabbi. Now, he was tutored by a man named Arnold Josiah Ford, which was also called rabbi. Now, we're told not to call people rabbi, but he was a high level moral. He was a spiritual leader, however you want to call it. Spiritual leader, teacher, with a lot of respect and influence in our Israelite community. Now, I'm talking about the 1920s. Now, these black men in the 1920s were coming from communities and families where they knew that they were Israelites, and they held on to practices that were being done in West Africa Israelite communities and East Africa Israelite communities. The main two teachers, which is Arnold Josiah Ford and Wentworth A. Matthew, trace their families' Israelite lineage back to Ethiopia and back to West Africa. I believe Nigeria, to be exact. With Nigeria, we know we have a lot of Igbos over there, and then in Ethiopia, we know we have some of the Beta Israel. Some of them which look like us, some of them look like Cushites. Okay, but the point that I'm making is that rabbi, if you look at the words, it actually means great one. It means head of the house, and then great. It means head of the house, like master. So it means more master than teacher, actually. Even though they say teacher, it means more master than teacher when you look at the letters. The first letter is a Ra'ash, which is a head, and then the second letter is a Vayath, which is a house. So the head of the house, the brains of the house, the master. Okay. So I just want to respond to what Robin Denise is saying. So now, one of the prayers that I remember us doing that one was when I was there in 1994. I remember specifically 94, 95, then 96. The split happened, but even when the split happened in 96, and we had the Passover, I think at St. Mark's Ballroom. We had at St. Mark's Ballroom. I remember that we still had parts of the service that were Israelite traditions that I now recognize as mainstream practices that were done by each of the communities of the diaspora, even though we were absent. So the men at One West that established the one, I'm not talking about Ariyah, I'm talking about Ariyah's elders. I'm talking about his father Ya'iqwab, okay? His father Ya'iqwab. His I'm talking about Masha, who also Masha, was called Peter Kareem with CH. I think it's CHERREM. Not Peter, Moshe Kareem. Moshe. All right. So then also you're dealing with Abba Bivens, which is Eber Ben Yonah, which is also called Rabbi Bivens. We're talking about these three men. Why at One West were we lighting candles and pouring wine and saying blessing over the wine on a Shabbat? Why? Because that was the minhag of every Israelite community. It's called the kiddush, the sanctification, the koyadwash in the ancient Hebrew, which was practiced by every Israelite family just about in New York, Philadelphia, Tennessee, all right, the Caribbean, South America, all of them did that same type of prayer, that same type of minhag or custom. It was done at large. So when we try to do these things now, we ain't trying to be like no white people. We doing things that white people learned from us that our teachers in the late 1800s, early 1900s were still doing. They were still doing these things. So each of these communities have things that they do a different way. So one of them is the blessing that they did over the wine. Another one is on the another thing that during the Shabbat service is it proper to light candles, pour wine, break bread. You can light the candles before the sun goes down. And even it's funny you say the candles because we would say when the candles were lit, really it was the menorah that was lit. Okay, the prayer was Barakatah Hawa Nathanawa Award Hashabat Bashalom. Blessed are you, Yahweh, that gives us light on the Shabbat in peace. Okay, that's what we said. That's the prayer. That was said. You see? So this was the prayer that was said on the Shabbat when the candles were lit. Now they did it on the Shabbat actually, but most homes did it before the Shabbat. So you're not supposed to light the fire on the Shabbat, whether it's for incense or whether it's for candles. You're not supposed to light candles and incense on the Shabbat in your own congregation or in your own home. Okay, because that's something that the priest did at the temple. We ain't the priest, and we ain't at the temple, and we ain't got the menorah. So we ain't supposed to be doing all of that. And frankly, I'm not sure that they did it. They lit the candle on Shabbat day at all. They probably lit it on the sixth night before the Shabbat even came in. If it ever went out, remember the light had to burn, but that was just a memorial of the light of the temple. Okay. Another thing that we do at the Shabbat services, and all the Israelite communities, all the Torah observant communities around the world, whether in Yemen, in Spain, Morocco, Ethiopia, Iran, Iraq, India, they all would make sure on the Shabbat the 10 Commandments were read. Okay, and once again, the 10 Commandments were read during the Shabbat service. We read the 10 Commandments. You had certain psalms that were read by every Israelite community around the world. Were reading certain psalms on the Shabbat. Okay. At the original One West, we always would read Psalms 121. Psalms 121. Now, as the Minhagim, one of the Minhagim that we've adopted as Banya Yasharala is that we also make sure we read Psalms 92. And why do I say Psalms 92? Because when you go to Psalms 92, the first thing that you read, it says a psalm for the Sabbath day. So that's why we read it, because it's a psalm written for the Sabbath day. So that should be read on the Sabbath day. So that's our minhag of Banya Yasharala. Okay, so that's why we do certain things a certain kind of way. Okay, we also know that we did the on the Shabbat. We know we did 3 parts of the Shemona Eshrei. We inserted a part for the Sabbath, and then we did the last parts of the Shemona Eshrei. Okay, which is the Amidah. We also still do that. If you were to go back and look at, if you ask some of the people that were around, which is one sister, I want to get a hold of her. She's 75 years old, looked like she's about 50, 52. Look young, she looks good. I want to talk to her because I know she remembers the prayers that were said under Wentworth A. Matthew, what she calls affectionately Rabbi Matthews, the prayers that were said on the Shabbat. I'm sure the Ashrei was said. Okay. Now these are men that studied the Hebrew, that spoke the Hebrew, that read the Hebrew. So they didn't lose root of their Hebrew culture. They didn't lose root of what it meant to be an Israelite. You're welcome, Robin. They didn't lose sight of what it meant to be an Israelite in your minhag, your custom, your tradition, your practices. Okay. So we know that the Psalms were the song was said. Okay, I'm gonna give you something else. Just the way that we pray with our hands lifted. That's the minhag of our community that come up out of Arnold Josiah Ford and Wentworth A. Matthew and Bivens or Eber Ben Yomen. That's part of, we pray with our hands up or like this or like this. We don't pray like this. We don't pray like this. We don't pray like that. We don't pray like that. We don't pray like this. And we don't pray like this. We pray like this, like this, like this, like this. Our hands are up. That's our particular minhag. Okay? That's our particular minhag. So I'm gonna give you an example. When I'm gonna give you an example of how the pronunciation of the words goes back to a more Sephardic. I'm not saying we come from a Sephardic root, but I know we are the Sephardic, and we're everybody, and we taught these people all around the world, and they joined themselves unto us, and we showed them our practices. Let me see if I can find one of the prayers. Oh, another thing, which everybody should. Zayatan, come here, man. Who's after you? Mayana Shabbat, right? All right, come here. I'm gonna show you a minhag. Okay. All right. This is Zayatan Ban Parazah. See. All right. I want you to look at the camera right here. Okay. And I want you to say the Shemai, the whole Shemai. First, I'm gonna say it. Now you say it first. I want you to say the whole Shemai.
Shemai, Yasha'ala, Yahweh, Eloheinu, Yahweh, Akkad, Wahabda, Ab Yahweh,
Allah.
Alhalka, Baraka, Labaka, De'ala, Balaka, Ma'alka.
That's the last one. I'm gonna say it and then he's gonna say it. So he did good. Give him a hand. Give Zayatan a hand. Right now, I'm gonna say it and then you repeat it. If he hears it, he can probably register a little better. And I'm gonna say it fast for you too. So listen. Shema Yasharala Yahweh Eloheinu Yahweh Akkad Wahabta At Yahweh Elohayka Bakal Lababka Wabakal Napashka Wabakal Ma'adka. Now you say it.
Shema Yasha'ali Hawa Al-Haina Hawa Aka
Wahabta.
Wahabta Ati Hawa
Alahayaka. Alahayaka.
Al-Hayka Bakala Bafka
Mm-hmm.
Hero Israel
Wabakal.
Wubakal Na'alka
Napashka.
Napashka
Wabakal.
Mabakal Ma'alka.
Okay. And what's the other one? Say it in English.
Hero Israel Yahweh is one.
And you shall. Oh, you don't know the English. Okay, get out of here. Good job. Okay, come here, Mayana Shabbat. How old is Ayathan? 5. Okay, he's 5 years old. Come here, Mayana Shabbat. Come here. Okay, look at the people right here. All right. Now say look at the light. Look at right here, and say your Shema.
Shema Yasha'ali.
All right, you get out of here. Go practice. Okay. So now those are the two youngest ones that can really talk. Shakata. Now she gonna say it with me. Come here, Shakata. She eating, but she got her shirt off. Come here, Shakata. Come here, Mama. Let's do the Shemai, okay? Okay, this Shakata. Okay, let's do Shemai. Now you know how babies, they sometimes they listen to you, then they'll continue. Shemai. Say Shemai. Mm-hmm. Shemai. Uh-huh. Let's sing it. She want to sing it? Shema Yasha Allah. You want to sing it, Mama? You're not going to sing it? Sing it. You don't want to? Okay. Okay, bye-bye. All right, so the point is that, okay, they, okay, now you see these? Now these are on the clothes. Okay, now what are these called?
Fringes.
What are these called? What's the real word for them? Tazayatazat. You see that? She said Tazayatazat. What's the real word for them? Okay. Now, what about if I have just 4 long ones that are clipped to my shirt? What are those called? Gadolium. See, those are called gadolium. And what do we have to have every time we leave the house? Or Tazayatazat. You see, so that's the Minhagim. Now, other traditions, other communities, we were taught, you know, they're now learning and being taught that you have to wear your fringes when you leave your house. That's the minhag. Some communities teach that you can wear the what do you call it? The katan, the small little garment underneath that has the fringes and strings on it, and you put it in your shirt, or you can put them on the belt loop of your pants. We don't teach that. We teach that it has to be on your clothes. You know, that's the minhag. That's the actual mitzvah. That's the actual law. And then we apply the law in those 2 ways. Now, our particular minhag is that the men and the women should be wearing tunics. The men should wear tunics and the women should wear tunics. That's our particular minhag. It's our actual biblical tradition, not the 2 pieces that men and women wear a lot of times. Okay? Somebody bring me the Kumash from off the bed up there. So now I'm going to read something to you, and I'm going to show you at One West, when you listen to how we read the Hebrew, we read it with more of a Spanish accent. Sometimes when you read it, we read it with more of a Spanish, not a Spanish accent, but a Spanish style, because we put the accent on the next to the last syllable. Okay, like we would say, Bada Ashyath. See that? Bada Ashyath. Okay, and then if it's a 3-syllable word, we put it on the last syllable. Okay, a lot of times, like Bada Ashyath, Bada Ah. You see that? Alahayim, Ha-yum. You see that? On the next to the last syllable. So these are different points that we look at. So we see that, we are Israelites, Yasharala, and we do have a particular custom. We do have a particular custom over there, La Luz. La Luz. So I'm gonna read it. This is Genesis 1. It says, cut the light on. It says, Bada Ashyaf, Bada A, Alahayim, Ath, Hashemayim, Wa'ath, Ha'aratza. You see that? It says Wa, Ha'aratza, Hayatha. You see Hayatha, 3 syllables, goes on the last word. Next to the last syllable is stressed in other words that are longer than 3 syllables. You see? Alahayim, Alahayim, Alahayim. Okay, but they would say Elohim on the last syllable, and they would say Bereshit on the last syllable, which is the last syllable of the 3 syllables, showing you kind of like the influence of the pronunciation and how we even read the Hebrew. Now we know that we're not Hebrew scholars; we can't read the Hebrew perfectly, but the voice inflection, Tawada Robin, the voice inflection is similar to Sephardic and Ashkenazi pronunciation, and then it's similar also to a Spanish type of pronunciation of the voice inflection on the next to the last syllable on syllables that are over words that are over 4 syllables. We'll find another word. It says Mamasha'af. Okay, Mamasha'af. Even there, Ma we know is a prefix there. Masha'af. You see that? Not Mamasha'af. Okay, Mamasha'af. And that's because the 2 last syllables are connected together. So the voice inflection shows our connection to. I'm not too familiar with the Yemeni pronunciations and the Yemeni ways of saying the words. I'm more familiar with. There's more videos and stuff about Ashkenazi. And about Sephardic. Okay. And we do it naturally, but these other communities do it because of the vowel points. A lot of our brothers don't read the vowel points, but we can read the word. Sometimes we struggle through it because we've had no academic source of education when it comes to Hebrew things. Okay. His son is chosen. Yabarakaka, Shalom, Hallelujah. Who is that, man? His son is chosen. What's your name, man? So, and that's a shame. We've been around for so many years and we still have no place for our people to go to learn. Most of the things we're learning is breakdowns. But we can't overlook the other things that we need to be learning also, which, quite frankly, the Hebrew. We gave an example the other day when we were reading in the Hebrew, and the English translation that they put in the Hebrew book said, what was the word? Splendor or something. When the word is always translated as, it was taparath or teferit. It was taparath, and it's always translated as glory. It's always translated as glory. But they put splendor in that particular place for some reason. I don't know. So we have to learn to read in the Hebrew because sometimes there's a different doctrine that's clarified from the Hebrew. Talik Katan. Okay, look at Robin. Robin done some studying. Robin gonna have to be our female go-to sister for all things that's dealing with Israelite minhag or culture. Talik Katan. Which Talik we know, is that's not the requirement, that the Torah gives upon us. Okay. The requirement that the Torah gives upon us is the actual garment. Okay. The actual garment. Okay. And then And that's coming from an Aramaic word, talal, that means to cover. Okay, that means to cover. That's what the word talit means. It means to cover. And when you read the law, um, it says you put fringes on the clothes wherewith you cover yourself. In Numbers 15, 37, 38. So let's see what that word is in the Hebrew. 15, um, it says, it's going to be in Deuteronomy 12. It doesn't say it in Deuteronomy, it doesn't say it in Devarim or Bamadbar. Doesn't say it there. It's in Deuteronomy 12. That's the one. That's the one that we're looking for. So Deuteronomy chapter 12. Deuteronomy 12, verse 5. Okay. It says, I'm sorry, 22:5. 22:5. My bad. Yes, Mama. You ready to say you ready to say Shemai with me? 22:5. It says actually 22:12. My bad. 5 is about the clothing. Cover yourself. It says kasa. It says kasa, which means to cover. It says kasa, it's to cover. So we shouldn't be having that Aramaic word. We should be using the Hebrew word, which it says kasa, shall cover. So kasa is the word. That's the word that we probably should be using. All right. So it says lots of Hebrews believe you don't leave your home on a Shabbat or celebrate the feast days because we're not in the land. But the Most High said to celebrate the feast days throughout all of our generation. And when we look in Luke 4:16, it said how Messiah had a custom of going to the synagogues every Sabbath day. All right. So anyway, so I'm getting into the minhag, the customs. And I just talked. So now ours would be, we kind of just did the fringes. All the Israelites, when I first came in, we did the fringes on all your clothes, man, on your pants, all of the fringes. Well, the fringes were on all different sets of your clothing. You put fringes everywhere, all right, across the chest, But now we didn't have the garments with the blue on. So now, as Banya Yashalala, as we grew more evolved, myself and one of my original teachers, the Kwan Nathaniela, as we grew together in reading and understanding Yahweh's word better in the culture of Israel and our proper biblical minhag, our proper biblical spiritual custom, we seen that a lot of things were lacking that we just weren't shown. So, like I said, Bivens and them and Matthews and Ford, they would actually wear the big talit. I guess talit gadol as opposed to the talit katan, which katan is a Hebrew word, kortan, and talit is from talal, which means taliyat. That's probably plural, which means like a shawl or a covering. Okay, means a covering. Okay. So anyway, you see the pictures with them. We're having the prayer shawl on. They have the prayer shawl on. All right. I think you had to be circumcised to touch the Torah. And that's that's something that's taught in the minhag of all other Israelite communities also. Once again, I said about the 10 Commandments, bringing in the Sabbath and bringing out the Sabbath was done at the school also, and that's something that all Torah-based communities do also. The Torah was read in the Hebrew throughout all the different Torah-based communities, and that's something that was done at the original One West ISUPK also. The Torah was read in the Hebrew. I remember, sitting there, with Shah, and then Shah would read the Hebrew. He would read the Torah. I remember I got him on video doing it. He's sitting there reading the Torah, and he's going into the Torah, reading the words and everything, and he's kind of reading it slow, but he's reading it nonetheless. It would be like Ha'a, Kaya, Yaquak, Ayash, Asha, Wa, Ba'a, Al Yaha, Wa, Shana'a, Wa, Sham, Laha, Al Yalath, Dabar Yam, Wa, Hawatza, Al Yaha, Sham, Rai, Ra'ai, Wa, Amar, Af, Ha'asha, Wa, Slak, Ha, Za'af, La, Kwakatya, Wa, Yakwarab, Al Yaha, Wa, La'a, Matiza, Atya, Laha, Ba, Batwala, Yam, Wa, Laquak, Abaya, Ha, Na'ir, Wa, Amaha, Wa, Hawatiza, Ya'awa. So I remember hearing Shaw read with that kind of pattern. That kind of pattern. All right. So when we pray, we kind of pray with that same type of pattern. Shema, Shema, Yasha Allah, Yahweh, Yahweh, Allahayanawa, Yahweh, Akkad, Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Haya, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakwatka, Taba'a, Ratizaka, Haya, Aisha. You see that? So that toward the end of the word, making it more loud, making it more vocal. Something that was done in the reading and something that was done by us to this day. Now, this is something that I saw and heard happening for the first time in 1994. And it stuck with me, up to this point. It stuck with me up to, this point. So that's our particular minhag. That's our particular minhag. At the school also, the people you would read the Torah, and then you would go up and you would read your portion of the Torah, kind of taking turns, or you would have your turn, with the to blow the ram's horn, and then you would have the men come up to read the Torah, if you were doing that particular service, on that day. You'd have a young man take the Torah around so the men could bless it. You know what I'm saying? And then you would the priest would take it around, and the youngest man would take, just different salutes and things of that nature, man. But the point I'm making is that in our tradition also, Yahweh went up to read the Torah. All the community, the people come up to read the Torah. And that's what we still do now, So we have if you look at how Banya Yasha'Allah is doing stuff in the different states, they're supposed to be having a man come up and read the Torah on the Shabbat. And then he's supposed to be, one of a few men. And then the other men, everybody takes turns, reading the Torah. And that's something that was done, in the ancient times. And that's something that we do now also. So all of these minhag that we have, all of these manhagium, which is customs that we have, are customs that go back, that are being practiced by other Israelite communities. You see, we were not isolated. So when you go into One West now, what's been done is mainly different topics of the scriptures. It's like a topical, body. Different topics about the Bible are going to be discussed and rehearsed and then shared. Okay. And then shared. So all these different topics shared. Now, when it comes to the service, the Sabbath service was going over a topic, and then bam, hit the streets. Hit the streets. So, I mean, brothers could have, if you wasn't a part of a camp, you could either stay or go out to the street and watch and be a part of that crowd. And then you would have the Levite brothers sometimes that would teach. You had Hebrew being taught after the Shabbat. After Shabbat service was over, then you would have the Hebrew. But then also, see, you had selling of the candles, of the books, of the oils, of the incense that was taking place on the Shabbat also. So all these things were taking place on the Shabbat. All right, so ISUPK, now this is after the main, this is after the one that was called Rabbi Bivens, Eber Ben Yomen, had died. Much respect and honor due to him. He died. So once he died, that's when years transitioned, and then people started once again buying on the Shabbat, selling businesses on the Shabbat, making money on the Shabbat, working because we're in captivity on the Shabbat, catching the trains on the Shabbat, catching the train on the Shabbat, paying money on the Shabbat. And then the whole worship aspect of everything, the prayers that we offer up as a unit, as a body, were not really being done, extensively. It's like very abbreviated, very in and out, and bam, let's go to the street and teach. There was nothing really being instructed as far as what you do on your home, man. This the blessing you put on your children. This the blessing that you got to put over your wife. This what you do when the Shabbat comes in. So a lot of our minhag that we did do, before the 90s, before the 80s, before the 70s, that we can trace back are things that were common in all the other Torah-based communities around the world. So when people say, oh, since 1969, nah, there was no Israeli school of universal practical knowledge in 1969. That didn't exist. Before that, you had a Israel. First of all, I'm not even gonna go into all of that, but didn't exist in 1969. All right, you may have had an Israeli school of Torah in 1969, an Israeli school of Torah where the Torah was taught. And I remember when we first came into the truth, they told us you got to get you a when I first came into the truth, no, sis, Aqua, no. They were selling on the Shabbat, the actual daytime portion of the Shabbat, the brothers were buying and selling. And that's not supposed to happen. They're not supposed to be doing that. Okay? That's against the law. It's against the Torah. They're not supposed to buy and sell on the Shabbat. Forgot what I was about to say now. Torah being taught, breakdown, The Minhag. I forgot what I was about to say. Now I got to think of something else to say now. um, but the Torah was what was being taught. That was the foundation. And then, of course, Yahweh Shai and things of that nature. You got to teach the Messiah, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. You got to teach salvation. You got to teach repentance. But these things don't replace obedience. These things are supposed to go hand in hand with obedience, not obedience versus Christ, Hamashiach. Hamashiach gives you the spirit to want to obey his Father, which means now you want to learn more about the Torah. Okay, so it was a school. It was a Torah being taught. You know, now if you it was the Torah being taught basically by all of the by all of the heads, by all of the leadership taught the Torah. Okay, so like I said, when I was talking about when I came in '94, at that point the Torah really wasn't being pushed really hard. The school was open every day of the week from 7 to 10. But there was people there before and after that. School was open 7 days a week from 7 to 10 at least. All right. But the Torah was not taught throughout every single day. And that's why brothers kind of veered off from keeping the law. Okay, so getting back to the minhag, the customs, and the traditions, we didn't just start doing these things now. When we came from, if you think we came from West Africa, if you think we came from Spain and Portugal, and we were kicked out for being Jews, what were we doing? What were we practicing? It was the practices and the traditions that made us fall under the spotlight. We were under the spotlight because of the customs we were keeping, because of how we observed the Sabbath, because of how we dressed, because of how we would wear our beards, because our restrictions on things that we just wouldn't eat. That's why we were ostracized and put under the microscope by these other nations. So our minhag, our customs and traditions still link up to the East. Saying the Aaronic prayer from Numbers chapter, chapter 6? Okay. From Numbers chapter 6. 6:24 to 26. Okay, that right there comes from that's a Israelite tradition that people were doing in the East when we were still in slavery. So how are we coming out of slavery and then we begin doing these same things? Because it was still transmitted and we knew that these were our records, so we knew what was good and what was bad about what the Ashkenazi were doing, about what the Sephardic were doing. We knew what was good and what was bad about what they were doing. And some of us still held on to a lot of those traditions. So we knew to say the blessing prayer from Numbers 6:24 to 26. Ya barakaka Yahweh wa yashamarka, ya ari Yahweh panya wa aliyaka wa yakanka, ya sha'a Yahweh panya wa aliyaka wa yashamlaka shalom. We knew to say that prayer. And it was said during the Shabbat. We knew to say the Ten Commandments. Anya Yahweh Hawatiza Atiaka Maharatiza Matizaria Mabayat Ibadam Yahaya Asha Alpanya Alahayim Akadium. So we knew to say all the Ten Commandments on the Shabbat services. How are we doing the same things that all these other groups of people that use the Torah were doing? Because it was preserved and because we knew that these people were doing our customs and our traditions and were doing our minhag. We knew that. We do that. But right now, we don't know that anymore because we're so focused on giving somebody else a breakdown against what we say or what they say. And it's total confusion, and everybody else vying for the top position, man. There's so much damn disorder, so much damn disrespect, and there's so much damn just competition among people that's supposed to be moving toward a common goal. You see? So now we got to understand what is the root that we come from, what is that we're supposed to be doing. All right, now everybody want to change everything. They want to create their own minhag, but on the shoulders of the giants that came before them. Now they're going to look down at these men and say, you were wrong in what you did, and everybody across the whole world is wrong. Now, it is possible that everybody across the world can be wrong, but not on everything all the time. You see what I'm saying? So now, lighting the candles on the Shabbat, doing the wine on the Shabbat, praying over the candles and praying over the wine on the Shabbat, doing the Shemai, doing the Ten Commandments on the Shabbat. These are all things that you'll find in any synagogue across the world. And we were doing the same thing. And a lot of us still do the same thing. But what they do now is that they kind of put the Torah to the side because the topical teaching has become the fad in Israel now. Just give me 1 second. What topic do you want to teach? What topic? Which that's, topical teaching is good, but topical teaching shouldn't replace the Torah lessons. Topical teaching shouldn't replace obedience and knowledge of the commandments and to the commandments. Topical teaching are supplementary to the primary text, which is Torah. You have to have a primary text that you're working off of. You can't just be in there doing all things at all times on all different areas. The center of our lives as Israelite people must always has been and always will be the Torah. And your children should know the Torah. If that boy that just came over here, my son Zayatan, if he can't tell you nothing else, he can explain to you once you ask him about yes and no, maybe about what we are and what we maybe. Matter of fact, Naira, tell Naira Zayatan, come here, please. Come here. What is Tama'ah? What's that mean?
It means no touching people.
Okay. Now this is Naida. Now what does Tama'ah mean?
No touching people.
It means no touching people.
Yes.
Now, is sometime a lady Tama'ah? Does a lady get Tama'ah?
Yes.
And what happens when she gets Tama'ah? How does she get Tama'ah?
Her blood comes out.
You hear what she said? Her blood comes out. Now, how old are you?
3.
You 3?
Yes.
Now, how many days is the lady Tama'ah? No, silly.
7.
No.
7.
I'm asking her, how many days? 7. Okay, you got the answer from Zayatan. Okay, now, can you eat pig?
No.
Why?
Because it comes up.
She said because it's what?
Come up.
Because it's Tama'ah. Okay. Can you wear pants under your dress? If you want to, can you wear pants under your dress?
Yes.
Okay. Can you wear pants with no dress?
No.
Why?
Because
Because what?
nobody will wear on her pants.
What she said? Nobody what?
Wear on pants.
She said nobody put on pants. So you wear your skirt or your dress over your pants. Now, let me ask you now. What about the Sabbath? What is the Sabbath?
It's Shabbat.
It's Shabbat. And what do we do on Shabbat?
Read the scriptures.
We what?
Read the scriptures.
What's he say?
Read the scriptures.
Read the what?
Goats.
Go get it. Show them what you're talking about. Show them what you read on. No, pick the whole thing up. Show them what you read on Shabbat. Show them. Hold it up. She said we read this on Shabbat. Okay. Now, what is in there? What do we read on the Shabbat?
We read Yahweh.
We read about Yahweh as well. Now she's 3 years old. Now, can I send you to the store to buy something from me on the Shabbat?
Yes.
Can you buy on the Shabbat for me? Can you buy something on Sabbath?
Yes.
Why? Because what?
We need to listen to them.
Oh, because now, okay, she said because we need to listen to you. Okay. So on the Shabbat, did Yahweh say that you can work or you're not supposed to work? You can work or no work on Shabbat?
No work.
No work on Shabbat. Okay, so she got a little bit more tighten up she got to do on her lessons. Okay. Now on the Shabbat, can you go play football or go play kickball or basketball on the Shabbat?
No.
No. Can you play basketball, football, or kickball on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday?
No.
No. Can you play with your toys on the other days of the week?
No.
Why not? See, this talking now. Okay, we through with you. Thank you for your cooperation.
Welcome.
Okay, now here comes Zayatan. Now, okay, here's Zayatan, y'all. Now, okay, now Zayatan, tell them how old you are.
5.
You 5. Now, what is Tama'ah?
It's unclean.
It's unclean. What does it mean when it comes to a woman?
It means they have to stay in
Or set apart in a room or another part of their house. Now the big house we had, remember they had the big room upstairs. And in this house we got a small room downstairs. And remember they had their own bathroom too, right? They had their own bathroom. How many days is a woman Tama'ah?
7.
7. Now, I'm gonna ask you a hard question. What if the woman on her 7th day, when her time is supposed to be over, what if she's still bleeding? What do you do then?
A few more 7 days.
When do you start counting for the few more 7 days? But he got the understanding. He said if she goes over her 7 days and she's still bleeding, he said you count a few more 7 days. The other 7 days starts when she's finished with her period. When she finished her blood, the next time when she goes over, then you count another 7 days, right? Do you know what shrimp is?
It's a type of seafood that you're not allowed to eat.
Okay, seafood. What food can you eat that comes from the sea? What does it have to have? If it have smooth skin and but you can't. Should you be able to pick the skin off of it, or should the skin be soft and smooth on it? I don't know if you got that lesson yet. Okay. You don't know that one yet. Okay, so let's see what else we need to ask you, Zayatan. What about you know what fornication is? You know what sex is? How does should a man have a girlfriend, or what should he have?
A wife.
A wife, okay. Should a man kiss a girl or lay down with a girl and then send her away and go get another one and send her away?
Yeah.
What if he lays down with her and kisses her? What should he do? What should he do? Should he send her away or keep her? What you think? Keep her or send her away? Should he let somebody else use her, or should she just stay with him? Should he share her with his friends or keep her all to himself? Huh? Keep her all keep her. Okay. Now let me see. What about what is the Kadash?
Uh, it's a type of seventh day when you can cook.
What is the Kadash though? What does it mean?
Means new moon.
It means a new moon. And what color is the new moon? It's black. Okay. And what color is the day when we started? What color is the sky when the new day starts? When the Shabbat starts and when the Shabbat is over, what color is the sky? It's black. Okay. Do you know Abanawa? Tell the people Abanawa real quick.
Abanawa Shabashamai Kodas Aya Shunka Yahweh Malafika Saba'a
Ratzaka.
Zaka Yahweh
Haya.
Haya
Matter of fact, let's say it together. Abanawa Shabbat Shem together, not me then you. Abanawa Shabbat Shemaya Kodash Haya Shanka Yahweh Malakwaka Taba'a Ratzaka Haya Aisha Baratza Kahaya Bashamayim Natan Banawa Nakan Kal Yawam Wasalak Lanawa Kabawak Nawa Kasalak Nawa Kabawak Nawa Wala'a Tabaya Anawa Banasaya Wan Abal Hawash. Why are you whispering? Abal Hawashai Nawa Marai Kaya Laka Hamalakwa Waha'ala Wahatap. Okay. One of them. Okay. What about Yabarakaka? You know that one? Kaya Hawa Wayashamar. Are you singing the song? Not that one. Yabarakaka Yahawa Wayashamarka Ya'ar Yahawa Panyawa Aliyaka Wayakanka Yasha'a Yahawa Panyawa. Okay. You're doing all right, man. You're doing all right. All right, so you know all your letters? Alap, Bayak, Gamal, Dalak, you know all of those?
all of them.
All right, so you're doing good, man. Let's ask him about the Tawadah. Um, what if I have a stove? What if you go to somebody's house and they want to give you and they ask you, hey Zayata, you want a grilled cheese sandwich? And they don't keep the Torah. What should you do? Should you eat from their stove?
It's dirty, no.
What do you mean dirty? Like, what does that mean?
If it's not getting washed.
You wash like what? If it's tama'ah? What if it's a clean stove, but they might cook something on it that they're not supposed to eat? Can you eat from that stove then?
Not food you're not supposed to eat.
You're not supposed to? Okay, all right, throw out it, man. Appreciate it, Zayatan. All right, Shalom Banamwana. Good job, Zayat. Okay, let's ask her. All right, so what did we ask just now? What did we ask about Zayatan? She too tall to sit down too much. What did we ask him? Oh, if you go to somebody's house that don't keep the Torah, can you eat off their stove?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they use all the time and they wash it.
Wash it? Why do I keep saying wash it?
They don't.
What if they keep a pig on it and they wash the pig off? Can you use the stove then? What if they? Why not? What are you supposed to do with the stove once the pig touches it? Break it down. Okay. Give me another Torah question. Let's see. What do you do with your head when you pray? Your hair. What do you do with it? So she covers her head when she prays. What direction do you face when you pray?
That way.
Oh, that way. Can you pray any? No, that's east. All right. What about oh, I got a good one for you. What if a man dies and he doesn't have a son and he has a brother and his wife is still alive?
The brother gets has the wife and has married it and gets a son,
Mm-hmm.
and the wife has the husband. The brother has the wife. I'm from the brother.
So this is the Levite right, the Levirate, they call it marriage that she knows about. When the brother dies, the woman is supposed to marry the brother when the husband died if he doesn't have a son. Um, let's see what else. Okay, so we the water for your time. Okay, so as you can see, um, these are things that when you're teaching them and they doing these things, they might not know the specifics at their age. Say what? Kindergarten and first grade? So in second grade. They might not know the specifics of what and how, but they know the practice of it. So they know the halakha of the actual law, the halakha of the Torah. All right. So um where's a shower? Let's question. Now the boys are busy, and y'all might say, "Well, that's easy for the boys." I want her to come and sit down and ask you a couple of questions. You see, so our minhag is the practices and how we apply the Torah, and then there's customs that revolve around these things. So when you go into a man and you deal with his family, and you sitting in his house, you look and you watch and you observe. Okay, stand off to the side. Okay, now, what happens when a one? What happens? A woman just had a baby. Tell her what she needs. Tell her things that she needs to know.
Uh, she needs to stay away from people for 80 days.
Why she got to stay away from 80 days? See, you didn't ask. You didn't know if it should be 80 days or not.
If it's a girl, you have to stay away for 80 days.
If it's a girl, she got. We mean stay away. That means what does that mean?
You have to.
So stay away for 80 days. Cause you. Now, how old are you?
10.
Now this is a 10-year-old. So you 80 days for what?
Girl.
A girl, and what if it's a boy?
60. 60.
And so for a boy, it's 2 weeks. I mean, it's 7 days, then 8 days, the circumcision, and then 33 more days, right? Okay, so yeah. So now, what happens if you go into a person's house and they don't keep the Torah? Can you eat off their stove? Why?
Because they're important. So the pork would still be on the stove.
So the stove is what?
Tama'ah.
You gotta talk louder so we can hear you.
Tama'ah.
The stove is tama'ah. Okay? Stove is tama'ah. Okay? So now if you put the actually go get a cover for your head and sit down. You put this on? Just drape it. So we talking about
This.
anyway, just sit down.
Papa, look.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's like fire. Okay, so this is a shadow. Okay. This is 10-year-old. This is 10-year-old fat cheeks a shower. Okay, so now, what about if you go into a person's house and they keep the Torah? Can you up this over there? Would you? I'm just asking. Okay. What if I tell you to go buy me something? Scoot over a little bit. This way. What if I tell you to go buy me something on the Shabbat?
I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do it? What if I tell you you're gonna get the ride and you're gonna get a whooping if you don't do it?
I still wouldn't do it.
Okay, so she said she wouldn't go buy on the Shabbat. Why wouldn't you do it?
Because it's breaking the law.
What law?
The house that you keep the guys that holy.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to go to the store, I wouldn't keep the holy.
Okay. What if I tell you that you gotta work on the Sabbath?
I wouldn't do it.
What if somebody says if you don't work on the Sabbath, you and your family gonna lose their house?
I wouldn't do it.
You what? I can't hear you.
I wouldn't do it.
So we gonna be on the street?
Fine.
So what if it's winter time? You gonna still be on the street?
Fine.
What we gonna do when we go on the street?
Fine.
Okay. I mean, do you care or you don't care? You wouldn't work just to stay off the street in the wintertime and not be cold?
Fine.
Come what?
I wouldn't work.
You wouldn't work. Okay. So if you've been in this truth for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and you constantly getting all of this drilled into your spirit week in and week out, you're not gonna compromise. That was the minhag that we was taught. That was what we was taught originally from the quote unquote rabbis at the original One West, not to compromise. From Eber ben Yomin to Abba Bivens, or Rabbi Bivens, and then his teachers were Wentworth A. Matthew, and then his tutor was Arnold Josiah Ford. They didn't compromise on the Shabbat. Explain to me a woman being Tamah. Yeah, you. Talk loud so people can hear you now. Explain to me about a woman when she's Tama'ah. What does that mean? And how is she Tama'ah? And what does she do when she's Tama'ah? How does she start when she's, what happens when she's Tama'ah? How does she know she's Tama'ah?
Blood comes out her private part.
So blood comes out her private part, and then what happens?
She gets out part.
She gets set apart for how long?
7 days.
For 7 days.
But it's still bleeding.
But if it's still bleeding,
7 more days.
7 more days from when?
From the day that she's from that day.
So what if on the 8th day she's still bleeding?
Just keep going for 7 more.
Well, what if the 9th day she's still bleeding? What if 7 more days she's still bleeding?
Then she has to go for 7 more days.
7 more days from when? When do you start counting 7?
At the end of the week.
When do you start counting for an extra 7?
When you can speak to Harvey.
Hold on, come here, Amaria. Come here. I gotta go to the next child above her, moving up the chain. If a woman is Tama'ah for 7 days, and then she goes over, and then she's Tama'ah, what do? Okay, when is she not Tama'ah? So you just count. When do you start counting again? A week or when? Okay, so a woman's Tama'ah, and then she's still bleeding on day 8. Day 9, she's still bleeding. When is she tahar or clean again? After what? Okay, very good. Now move up the chain again to the 13-year-old, like the water, Amaria. Ariashan, come here. You know the answer? Okay, so if a woman is Tama'ah, Shalom, Mitchell Samuel. When a woman is Tama'ah, when does she tahar clean again? After 7 days. So what happens if 7 days come and she's still bleeding? Okay. So when do you count 7? When do you start counting her 7 days though? So when 7 more days come, she's still bleeding. Then what happens? Nope. Okay, now let me ask the mother. Shara. Okay, what happens with a woman being Tama'ah and Tahar? When is she unclean again? You have failed this city.
If she goes over her
7 days,
she has to wait
until
she stops bleeding.
She stops bleeding.
And then once she stops bleeding, She counts another 7 days.
She counts another 7 days.
And then she has to bathe.
And then she has to bathe
sundown.
Before sundown.
And could be tahar.
And then she could be. Now, you supposed to tell me all of that. What happened with you? So what if she don't bathe on her 7th day before the sun goes down? What is she then? Is she tahar or tama'ah? So 7 days come and she don't wash up before her 7 days are up. And then the 7 days are over, now she go and wash up. Is she tahar or tama'ah? She's still tama'ah. She got to do it before the sun goes down. Okay? Okay, so is that shamatanya? Or shamatanya? Okay, so what about the minhag, okay. So now when we go to the grocery store, should we buy meat that's cut inside the grocery store or no? Why? Because they could be cutting pork at the store too. Okay. What if you have a lamb says grown on a lamb farm and cut at the lamb farm from New Zealand? Should you buy that one? Because she said come. Okay. All right, the water for your time. All right. All right, so these are the different things that we have to really sit down and talk about and study with our children. I hope I had I wish I had like a book I could grab right now. We just had the different laws and stuff in it. And that just shows you that even if they're studying the Torah, you still got to take time to go over specific points of the Torah, with them. Hey, Tawada, Shamatanya, I appreciate it, man. Okay, now, Adiyasha, can you take over what he said, Sarah? Just rinse your hands off real quick. Actually, hold on, keep just stay on standby, okay? So the point is that we have these different minhag or customs. So sometimes the Torah is shown to a child, okay? Sometimes the Torah is shown to, a child and then practice it because the oldest one right here now is 13 years old. So he's seen his mother being separated and he's seen her, go over or be separated for more than 7 days. But he might not know how or why do you determine when the cycle of the woman is going to be over. Which one of y'all can tell me about the tribe of Zebulon? He said, he asked his brother, did I hear what he said? Did he hear what I said? So now, I'm going to, actually I got it right here. Okay. Ariasha, come here. What does the law say about if you find something that's not yours?
You have to keep it until you find the owner.
You're supposed to keep it until you find the owner or until the owner finds you. What does the law say about hating your brother?
Not to do that.
Not to hate your brother. Okay. What does the law say about wearing linen and wool mixed together?
You can't do that.
What does the law say about wearing cotton and linen mixed together?
You can't.
What does the law say about it?
Nothing.
He said the law don't say nothing about it because the law doesn't say mixed fibers. The law says specifically linen and wool is what it's talking about. Okay. What does the law say about a man's beard?
You're supposed to let it grow. You're not supposed to cut it.
Your hands got chicken on them. Here, sit down real quick, man, so people can see the beauty I produce. Scoot over a little bit. All right. So, what does the law say about a man's hair?
Hair?
His hair, this right here.
You can't
You
shave
put
it.
that down like on purpose. What does the law say about a man's hair?
You can't shave it bald.
You can't shave it bald. Are there any laws in the scripture where it talks about a bald head? Can you give me 2 examples of a person being commanded to shave their hair bald? Talk louder.
After you completed the Nazarite vow,
After you complete the Nazarite vow, go ahead.
and when you get a captive woman,
When you get a captive woman, go ahead,
and you marry her,
and you marry her. See, that's when the Bible talks about your hair being shaven. Okay. Is there any? What is the Torah? Can you give me 2 examples in the Torah about spitting in a person's face?
When there's a widow and
When there's a widow, you gotta talk a little louder, man.
and the widow's husband.
Okay, so we understand what you mean. The widow and the widow's husband. That's one example of being somebody spitting in somebody's face. What's the other example from the Torah?
And oh yeah, when the daughter is disrespectful, the father spits in the daughter's face.
That's the example that. Now, who used that as an example? Who spoke about that?
Masha,
Nope. Bigger than Mashah.
Yahweh.
Yahweh spoke. So he knows the 2 examples in the Bible about shaving head and about spitting in somebody's face. Can you give me an example from the Bible about being a hunchback?
You can't go into having a conversation.
Who specifically can't do what?
A hunchback can't.
A hunchback of who can't do what? A hunchback of Levi. The law that we got a law about the hunchback of Levi. What you doing good? If a man what other kind of laws you tell me about?
You can't mix different types of seeds.
You can't mix different seeds together. What do they call that today when you mix 2 seeds together?
Hybrids.
Those are called hybrids. So you're not supposed to do what? Eat hybrid foods. You see that? So these are things that, when he's out in the world and he said, I'm gonna get this fruit. Well, what is? I never heard of this fruit. What is it? Oh, it's a hybrid. Oh, we ain't supposed to eat a hybrid. Okay. So give me some more examples. What are you supposed to be saying when you rise up, when you lay down? The Shemai. Can you say the Shemai for us?
Shemai, Yasher Allah, Yahweh Elohim, Yahweh Akkad, Wahaka Yahweh, Elohika, Akala Baka, Wakala Pashna, Wakala Akka.
Okay, can you translate for us?
Here, Yasher Allah, Yahweh, our power is one Yahweh. And you shall love Yahweh with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might.
You should love Yahweh Alahayaka. What does Alahayaka mean?
Power.
Okay. Alahaya means what? And then Ka means what? Bakal Labka, Lapashka, Ma'adka, Alahayaka. Ka means what?
All.
Ka means all. Amaria, what does Ka on the end of a word mean? Lababka, Lapashka, Ma'adka, Alahayaka means what? What does Ka mean? What is it?
All, your.
Your, not all, but your. Ka is your. Okay. Ka is all. Ka is at the end of the word is your. Ka at the beginning of the word is as. Okay. All right, Amaya, that's all. Okay. That is all, Amaria. All right, so let me see. So what is your nationality?
Yasha Allah.
Okay. What is your law?
The law of Yahweh.
Okay. Where's your law found?
And the Torah. Allah.
Okay. That's your law. What makes you Yasha Allah?
Being from one of the 12 tribes.
Being from one of the 12 tribes. Okay, that was what makes you Yasha Allah. Are you Yasha Allah inside or outside or both? Okay. Were you circumcised on the 8th day? By whose hand? Sarah. Was he circumcised on the 8th day? By whose hand? By my hand, man. I cut the skin off your penis. All right. So since you've been born, have you ever eaten anything that you know of that was unclean? Pork, shrimp, lobster, or crab? When? Okay, let's get lower. Okay. So you might have ate a Lunchable in accident that was unclean. Okay. Deliberately? Is that a maybe or is that a definite? So what was in it?
The ham.
So he ate ham from a Lunchable on accident, he said. So he's making his confession. Okay. Have you ever done any work or anything you weren't supposed to do on a Shabbat? What? Okay. So you can swim in. So this is confession night now. So how many times you do that?
Just once.
So all your life, the one thing you did on Shabbat you weren't supposed to be doing deliberately, that's you think of now that violates Shabbat was swimming. Okay, so his sin is that he swam on the Shabbat. Okay. Now, what about let's see. What about the Kadash? Have you ever eaten leavened bread during Passover? Have you ever not eaten? Have you eaten past unleavened bread for all 7 days, like the law says? Do you have hatred in your heart against the children of your people? Do you love Yahweh? Do you wear Gedalion on your clothes or Tazayatas on your clothes when you leave the house? Do you make sure you bathe on the holy days? Do you stay away from people, not interact with people when it's in your control that are Tama'ah? Okay. Do you love your neighbor as you love yourself? How long have you been reading the Torah, the law? How long have you been exposed to it? How long have you been around it?
I was born.
Since you were born. Okay. Who is Yahweh Shai?
The son of Yahweh.
What do people call him?
King of the Jews.
Well, what do people that don't know the Hebrew call him?
Yahweh.
No, people that don't know Hebrew, what do they call him?
Jesus.
Okay, they call him Jesus. What color is he?
Black.
Is he olive colored? Is he like your color, my color, or darker than both of us? Okay. Was he a handsome man or not an attractive man? Is that written in the scripture? You know where it's said offhand? If you don't, that's cool. Okay, yeah. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 53, it says he's not attractive. Okay. What about what do you try to do on it? How do you do Shabbat? Don't cook, okay. What do you do when the Shabbat starts? What do you make sure of?
That all there's no heat on. No cooking.
What about all of this right here? Make sure you bathe on the Shabbat. Okay, thanks. Okay. What if I'm upstairs sleeping and it's a Shabbat and it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and for some reason my seed leaves my body while I'm sleeping, can I come and keep the Shabbat with you?
Nah,
Why?
because you're tama'ah,
I'm talking. What does tama'ah mean?
unclean.
I'm unclean. Okay. So what do I do to become clean again?
You have to wait until the evening and then bathe.
Wait until the evening, then bathe.
Before the evening,
Before the evening, after bathe. Can I put on them same underwear I had on that I became tama'ah in, that my seed got onto? What happens to those?
you have to wash them.
They're supposed to get washed. Okay. What if I have what if I'm at the store and I want to get some beef and the guy's in the back wrapping it because he just cut it? Should I buy that beef? Why not?
Because probably touched something.
It touched something unclean. Okay. What if I'm on the street and I know I've been watching this man? What if I know that there's somebody that hasn't eaten or somebody that doesn't have food? What should I do? I should give it to them. Okay. Any other things you want to tell us about the law? And let me ask you a question. Is keeping the commandments difficult for you? Is it hard? What's the hardest thing about it? What's the hardest thing about keeping it? What country do you live in?
Mexico.
Is it hard keeping the laws in Mexico? What country were you born in?
America.
That grease is burning. What country? What is it hard keeping the laws up there? Is it hard keeping your house laws? Okay. What position do you normally pray in?
Like this.
Okay.
Hands out. Standing up. Or bowing down.
Standing up or bowing down. Okay. Is there usually a point when you say prayers for the full prayers for the Shabbat that you find yourself bowing down or on your knees? Okay. That's part of the minhag of how we pray. That's part of the minhag. That's part of the custom that a lot of times we pray. You have to make sure that you get on your knees, especially during the Shabbat, which is the day of worship, and worship means to bow down. Okay. Like the water for your time. Appreciate it. All right. So, maybe I might do a few more things like this in the near future. Having the children and asking different questions. Then man, we've been on here almost 2 hours. Wow. I gotta go, y'all. I'm sorry. I gotta do part 3, and I ain't do the Torah yet, did I? Okay, I gotta go, y'all. Shalom to come. I ain't no time and slipped that fast, man. Let me go. We'll be back at it again. So the minhag, the custom and traditions that we're at Banya Yasha Allah, the ones that we're doing are the same ones that Bivens, did. The same ones that Rabbi Yeoman, Eber ben Yeoman, that he kept. Rabbi Bivens, the ones that he kept. The ones that were kept by Rabbi Matthews and Rabbi Ford. These are the same traditions and customs that they were keeping that line up with the Torah. And I went into a lot of them earlier, how we do the lights and light the candles before the Shabbat and say the blessing and the prayer over the wine, over the bread, reading the 10 Commandments, reading from the Psalms, saying the anointing prayer, reading the Torah in Hebrew on the Shabbat, praying, towards your Shalom. All these things are things that we found out and things that we knew and things that we observed. Okay, and these were things observed by the people that came before us. These are things that came before us. Shalom Mak Layla Tawab. So I'm gonna be back on in a little while, and I'm gonna do the Torah lesson for this week, and then hopefully I can get to that third part of that second Ezra, chapter 15. That third part, where we're gonna go into the Arabs, the Pakistani. We're gonna go into the Iranians, and we're gonna go into Islam. Shiite Islam and Sunni Islam, and we're going to show how those different components are going to lead, how those different components are spoken of in biblical prophecies. All right, so thank you for your time. It's a long video. I know it's going to be this long. Shalom Alaikum.